Ladies and gentlemen, to your action stations, I'm Admiral Y11. The video you're about to watch is the first of two interviews that I conducted with the developers of a game called Perpetuum. If you liked EVE Online and you don't want to pay the subscription fees and you like mechs, it's the perfect game for you. It's community run and it's only going for $5 on Steam right now. It's a really great purchase. I only started playing it about 3 weeks ago prior to this video, and I've already sunk closing 90 hours into the game. So I highly recommend it, and go buy it after you watch these videos, because I had a blast interviewing these guys. So without further ado, here is the first interview with a gentleman by the name of Inda, who is one of the gameplay developers of the Open Perpetuum Project. Enjoy. Admiral Y11. Welcome back. It's Friday. That means you know who's usually here. It's Spario. Say hello, Spario.
Hello, I'm here.
But
With a slightly swollen face.
yes,
I don't know if it's noticeable on the camera, but...
your stream hasn't updated for me yet, so I wouldn't be able to see. However, we have a special guest tonight. So as you recall, I think it was Monday, I streamed a game called Perpetuum. It was a game that didn't have many players, and I found out was being held aloft by the community. And over the last few days, I've been playing the game, I've been interacting with the community, and tonight we actually have one of the community developers here. This is Inda. Excuse me, Inda.
Inda. Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking about the Inca Empire.
Yeah, that would be nice also.
So yes, welcome Inda. Welcome to the stream.
Thank you very much, and we are really pleased to find out Perpetuum.
Yeah, it's I've had a lot of fun with it. I've been playing it. Basically, I wouldn't want to say idly. I've just been playing it, but because of all the autopilot features, I've kind of been playing it idly. Not that I haven't been fun blowing up various robots. All right. Spario is going to be doing the tutorial.
Ah, yes.
While he's doing that, though, I actually wrote up an entire list of questions here, because there are a lot of questions I have about things, about the game, about you and the development process, things of that nature. So basically a full-blown interview here. I even have my nice tie here. Alright, so if it's all good with you, for an interview, that is?
Yeah, sure.
Alright.
Also, just to be sure, I am not native English, so let me know if it's not understandable what I'm saying.
Fair enough, fair enough.
We'll continue.
I will. I will also say to you, if there's any questions I ask you that you can't answer, or you're not at liberty to answer, or you're not comfortable answering, not that I don't think I've put anything uncomfortable, but if you find them uncomfortable or you can't answer them, just say the word and we'll move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Alright. So, starting off with number one. I know the game came out in 2010 and shut down in 2014. So how long, I'm assuming you started developing as a community developer around 2014, or was there more of a, had you started before this actually came about?
Yeah, there is some misconceptions there, seems like, because the game is run until 2018. 18, sorry. So that I don't know where is the information you have, but 2014 probably was the Steam release.
That might have been it, because I know there's a lot of reviews on the Steam page that have to go to 20... Oh. Yeah, okay, so the last post was in 2018. My apologies. I could have sworn it said 2014.
Yeah, no problem. And that being said, after they shut down the official server 2018 January or something like that, and then we started the community server around 2018 April. So the game itself was off like 3 months or that range.
And then you brought it back online.
Yeah, and for if we could just continue there, the actually we had to wipe everything the people collected beforehand. So we had to start over because we couldn't really securely move over every assets people has. So mainly because of security issues about accounts and emails and you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and it made sense. And sometimes the start also interesting, I would say.
Yeah, so it would have just been a massive undertaking and a huge security risk to try and transfer everything from everybody's accounts over. And you did say when you started the account, or you started the your own community server, there were about 1,200 strong still playing the game at the time?
It was not that. The official launch was around that.
Oh, the official launch, I see.
Yeah, yeah,
So how many were actually on board with the community server when you actually booted it up?
yeah. It we had around 50 people, I think, or something like that.
Alright.
Or I could say 100 people in a month or so.
Hmm.
So it's just not that huge, but we was really happy to able to bring this a new life.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's got a... Well, the last time I checked, it had a Steam average player base of around 7 people, and... I mean, that's more than some games on Steam can say. And it's not a terrible game, especially for $5. Especially considering what I consider the main competitor, EVE Online, has like a subscription fee of, I think it's $15, $20 a month. That's one of the main reasons I stopped playing EVE. It's because I burnt out eventually from EVE, but I didn't want to, continue. It's not that I think EVE's a bad game. It's just $20 a month for a game that I can easily burn out on is not really worth it. But yeah, no, it's impressive that you've managed to basically. Oh, hello. Open Perpetuum has hosted us with 1 viewers. Ah, yes, I suppose that's either you or Null. Thank you.
Probably Null was that because I didn't. But anyway, I also tried to open video. Yeah, Null just started to ping on Open Perpetuum server Discord.
Fair enough. Alright. Okay, so we actually managed to get through, like, quite a few of the questions here. Where was that? So that's number 3 gone, and that's number 1 gone. So, number 2. I know there are, I think a few developers for the game. There's you and Null, and, this one gentleman named Blur. Oh, excuse me. And then there's a whole bunch of other people who... Oh, we got a traitor in here, speaking of. One of them's playing EVE.
Yeah, so probably the question is how many people is developing and the sort of thing. So we generally started around 6-7 people,
Right.
and in the following years there is a bunch of people joined, and also good to know we have a volunteering opening. So anyone who is encouraged or want to join, they can join to help improve Perpetuum. So we had around 12 people who ever developed Open Perpetuum, and currently we have around 6-8 active developers.
All right.
Null is mainly the project manager, and Blair, who you mentioned, he's mainly the server administrator, how I could say.
All right. So Null manages the whole project as a whole. Blur handles the server stuff. What's your role in the grand design, as it were?
Yeah. Well, mainly I was the first contact person for the original devs also. I just loved Perpetuum, and also I wanted to continue somehow. And we tried to reach them how we could continue, and and then I helped the design after we started some balance, and lately I was involved really in the new class balance. I was the main, how should I say, yeah, I developed the sheet what we use for the balance and what is important and what not for the design perspective about the new class. It's called destroyers.
I did see at the very end of the, I think it was, how do you pronounce this? The Nuimqual?
Call, yes.
I did see at the very end the Fellows was, called a destroyer. Yeah, destroyer
Yep.
specialized in magnetic weapons. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that, but that's a long ways away.
Yeah, it will be a take a while, but that's the end content for now here. And also those robots is preparing for the next big stuff, as I also mentioned, the Gamma, where people could terraform islands and build fortresses, build some buildings.
Alright, that sounds pretty cool, and actually, I want to get more into that on the Gamma update, but that's lower down on the list here. And you partially answered the question. The question wasn't like what the whole, like how the whole team was, although that is a very good amount of information. My main question was, did you all meet through the game, or did any of you know each other like through other means? Did you come from any other games? Did any of you know each other through real life? How did you all connect to come together and work on maintaining Perpetuum like this?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, in game, I don't know anyone who, but maybe lately, lately who could join. They didn't play the game beforehand, but the core team is always played Perpetuum.
Fair enough, fair enough. Alright. Interesting. I mean, I did figure as much, it's just I wasn't sure if, maybe some of y'all had came from like, oh, you knew each other in real life and you got into this game together and y'all wanted to preserve it or not. So I was curious about that. So that's,
Yeah, nice question.
yeah. Okay. So that's number 4. So we already answered the first 4 questions here. Excellent. Alright, so I do know that this game was basically in... I want to say it was in development hell, because I know there are some games out there that fit that bill more accurately. Like, for when I say development hell, I think more like Duke Nukem Forever. But this game, I do realize, its development had started in 2004, as far as I understand, and was launched in 2010, and then came to Steam in 2014. In actually trying to work on the game, because the code is so old, well, old by technology standards anyway, have you had any technological issues with something like, say, any issues with newer programs, things like that?
Well, it's not really, because actually the server is on, or the database is on SQL, and the server written, and I think the client also written as C++.
Alright.
So that's, you could do anything you want basically with these codes, I think. So Null, also the leader of the team about programming and coding, and we call technical team, I think. So he knows better about this part of the story.
Fair enough, fair enough. But, in layman's terms, there's, because it's in C++, there's, little room, or there's little amounts of failure points, seeing as, like, a lot of people seem to use C++ for their, games today.
As I know, yeah.
Alright, that makes sense. I think Space Engineers is actually in C++, so... Actually, that's a terrible example. Space Engineers is jank as hell. No, but I get it. I will say the net. I don't want to call it netcode because I'm not too knowledgeable on how the servers work, but the game does seem very like there's almost no latency at all, and that's very impressive for a game run by just the community. Which I think actually leads into one of my next questions. Is this a server? Is the server that's it's currently running on? I'm assuming Blur would probably be hosting it if he does host it, or are you renting out a server somewhere?
Yeah, we are renting a server, and I'm not sure there is a question in the line, but that's how we run the server. We have the donations in Patreon, so we get the donations, and we just only need the donations for the server running cost mainly, and
All
some
right.
advertisement. So that's how we operate outside of the client, because the client is still you can buy on Steam, and that's still contacted with the original developers.
That actually.
So we
I'm sorry. Continue.
it's fine. Just you can ask.
That it actually does lead into another one of my questions, which you've basically answered here. I was going to ask. Well, I know you had said the developers had contacted you, and clearly they're willing to help you continue the game in some way. My question would have been, since they're still taking purchases on Steam, have they offered any financial compensation, like a cut of the sales, or hell, even offered you a job at all?
No, because they are not active anymore. They just try to maintain the client. That's the only thing they do, and mainly 1-2 people is there anymore. So
All right.
it's no point really.
Yeah. Okay. I figured that might be the case. It still is impressive that you're able to maintain the servers with what you have. I'll actually have to check out the Patreon. If you'd like, you can link it in the Discord, by the way. I am full on with, supporting a game like this, because there are quite a few games out there, games that I liked specifically, that have shut down, and they got no support, nobody plays them anymore, and I actually have a whole folder on Steam labeled Dead Games. I can name 2 of them off the top of my head that I used to love, and they got rid of. Hawken and Fractured Space. Oh my lord.
Yeah, I heard that also. Where could I paste the Patreon? In just general chat in Discord?
Hold on. If you'd like to post it, put it in comms room. I apologize for what I would. It's not the most obvious of where to put it, but I tried to make it so that the Discord's like themed off of like a ship. But I put the descriptions of what every channel is supposed to do in the the little description there. But I do realize it's a bit inconvenient at times. So
it's fine. I didn't really look into it, so
fair enough. Fair enough. All right. So okay, so that finishes off 2 of the questions. Actually, going back to the question about the contact, did the developers at any point see like the support you were getting for maintaining the server and express any interest in maybe rejoining, or at the very least like helping to develop certain things with you? Or has the entire team like dispersed and it's just like the few people still maintaining the client?
mainly the second, what you just described. We have some contact with them, but seems like they are not interested anything more advanced at moment.
Alright.
But we have some hopes if we could continue the progress we just made. We have some hopes we can improve somehow. I wouldn't mention anything more here because of the situation, but there is some plans for the future also for Perpetuum.
Fair enough, fair enough. Alright, I was personally, I wondered if they actually took any more interest, considering there's not, like I said, there's not many games out there where the server is just completely shut down and then a community brings it right back up. Perpetuum is kind of an anomaly in that way. I mean,
Yeah,
you don't really get much games beyond like stuff that uses Game Ranger or such, and even Game Ranger is just like it's kind of like Hamachi in a way, where it's just you host a server. It's not like you have a dedicated server up at all times, and certainly Game Ranger doesn't host anything using MMORPGs like Perpetuum, that is.
yeah.
So it's quite a feat.
I would say also it's possible because how good is the original code and the original client and server code was. I mean, good in a way, it's efficient and you can just revive really fast. So I think it's the post. Thanks for the original devs. They made a really good job on this part.
All right. I did notice that in their last post on their website, they were saying how like the direction of the main game was kind of like scattered and whatnot. There was that, I believe one of the direct quotes from that thing was there wasn't a guide to making MMOs back in 2004. But I mean, if the code is stable enough and it still works, I mean, 2004 was when Half-Life released, Half-Life 2 that is. So that was a good year for gaming, and if they still manage to make a stable code today that you're able to work with, I mean, power to them. Maybe they gave themselves less credit than they thought they deserved.
I think definitely that's the case.
Right.
And you
I
can
think so,
see
too.
it's if you imagine how the game is 10 years before and you maybe you just start to play, you
I
would be
did just
amazed,
start
I
playing.
think. So that was impressive what they did back in the day.
Oh yeah, I think I actually had Perpetuum on my wish list before they actually went to the $5 thing, because I looked it up a while ago. I think it was actually on Greenlight. I can't remember, but I remember thinking like, oh man, this shit looks cool. You can do all this? I'm putting this on my wish list. And the only thing that kept me from really playing it was that subscription fee, because me personally, I'm not a big fan of subscription fee games. It's like I said, that's why I don't really play EVE anymore. But I mean that's why I like games where if you can just purchase them once. They're I don't know, I have a negative stigma against subscription-based games. It's also probably why I've not got into World of Warcraft and games of the like. So,
Yeah. Well, it's mainly the maintenance cost of the servers, you know.
especially for games like EVE Online, where there's like, I think probably actually millions of people play that game still.
It's not millions, but it's like
close.
100,000 or, you know. It's
Eh,
plenty. It's still plenty.
it's a tomato.
Yeah.
All right. I got way off track from my questions. All right. Here's one. So, I remember. I think it was yesterday, actually. I don't remember who told me. I think it was one of the non-dev players told me that some of the items that dropped from the enemies don't actually have a use anymore. Specifically because they were tied to an old quest system that since has been revised, and excuse me, all these quest things have since been turned into something that just drops from mission-specific enemies. Were there any plans to use any of the items that drop from, say, well, in my case, the Pestilal drones?
Palista.
Pelistal drones. The artifact cases, the drone AI consoles, things like that. Were there any plans to use those for anything else, or?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting question because those things mainly just one or two item in the game. So there is it's just one or two. And as you will progress in the game, you will realize there is plenty more you don't know yet. So that would be, I would say, you will realize that how many things in the game, and it's already there. So we don't really want to too much more introduction. The last patch we introduced, there was some new modules. It's called T4 plus, T2 plus, and that's the tier level. And those stuff could be built with if you do the new island stronghold and make the missions, or to kill the boss there, you will get the items for it and you can produce. So basically, I could say for your question, yes, we are planning to use everything in the game, but those one two, I'm not sure what is dropping, but we would like to just remove those for now, because we already have plenty of stuff you can use.
All right, fair enough. I did see the T2 plus things. I wasn't sure. I didn't know that those were actually added later on. I thought they were just like a special variant of the T2s. That's really interesting that like a whole different class of items were added. But I mean, you are also adding like a whole different class of robots into the game, so that's interesting. All right.
I need to note here the T2 plus and T4 plus modules were in the game before the shutdown. So when we started the OPP server, we decided not to introduce everything back at the start. So we have some room to reintroduce something, and that's basically just happened now. But it's important to note the balance and the stats is really changed.
All right.
So that's how it worked. And also the new classes of robots, we have to use existing models, but the developers, original developers, just made the robots modular. So they have a chassis, a leg, and a head, and you can just mix them up. So that's what happened with the new class. We mixed up existing models, and that we just reuse or recycled those and made the new stats for them, and that's how the new class born.
That's actually really cool. I kind of figured that they worked in a modular system with all the different parts of the models. I just very basically looking at the models, because it's not like the first time that games have like used such a system, but I didn't realize like everything about it was modular to the point where you could just make entirely different robots out of all this, and you could use that to make entirely different classes. That's actually really cool. I like that. I like when games do that. That's good shit. Alright. I've run out of my drink, and I've still got a fourth or fifth of a pint of Jack. Alright. That's not important, though. Okay. So that question's already been answered. Actually, well, part of it's been answered. Has there ever been any discussion about upgrading the servers if needed? Like, if, say the next day, like, the game blew up. Somebody, like, bigger than I found the game. Like, I don't know, Mr. Beast found the game, maybe. And just the thousands of players poured into the servers. What would be your plan of action for getting the servers on their feet to handle, like, the possible influx of thousands of new players? Have you had a contingency plan for that, or?
Yeah, let me tell you. Actually, I just asked our professional Null about it, and we could handle 5,000 people online at the same time.
Okay, 5,000? I was under the impression it was 1,000. Noel said 1,000 in the Discord, so that's.
I think I said 1,000, and then I wanted to clear.
I see. So it's even more than I originally thought.
Well, yeah, so that's my last information. I don't know, did you talk no later? But
let me actually see.
Yeah.
Because I know it was in general. Was it? No, it might have been in... Let me actually just search it. Server... Server code, server logic, server sign 2... Now I sound insane because it didn't pop up. It was probably in suggestions. One moment, my apologies. Actually, let me just type in the number. 1,000 plus missions, top 1,000 rows, 1,000 EP per day. You know where it might have been? It might have been in the general chat of Perpetuum itself, because I know you were talking with the observation fellow, was he? Where is that gentleman? Because I know earlier you were talking to him in the general chat about some things, so it might have been there. And I apologize, my memory is terrible. So that might answer my question. 5,000 is a very good number, though, because if, like, that can handle quite a few people. Like, that's 5 times my initial impression. That's very good. Especially for an MMO. Although I will hope the latency also holds up. Because right now, this is the only MMO I've ever played that has had no lag in anything. At any point.
I also have to point out the original developers were into the space of how it called. I might forget. They were into the space where they just made the demos, like in the old days, to make demos for anything in less and less amount of assets and bandwidth and asset needs. So they basically were professional to make the code and the Perpetuum as efficient as they could. So if you understand or you could follow me, that explains why it's still efficient. And also, you know, after 10 years everything is improved, but the game is still efficient, so it went more efficient these days.
So that what I do understand. I do understand what you're telling me is they basically optimized all the assets in the game to the point where even if they're even with, you know, modern standards, and even if there were like hundreds of players in the game right now, it wouldn't suffer too much because they actually put effort into, you know, optimizing it. Oh, Blabion has followed. Thank you. Also, Gana Gitcha has said Piracy Preferred is the #1 best corp in Perpetuum.
It's some of the...
And here's Blocker Others. I should have put the IFDF recruit quota into here to show it off. Oh, but it doesn't matter because it broke anyway. Oh, come on, Streamlabs. Well, anyway, it never works right. I might as well just get rid of that thing. It just doesn't work right ever. Getting sick of having to reset the damn thing. Alright. That's a completely different issue. Red yes. Hello, Gonna Getcha. Gonna Getcha says RAR. Holy shit, I think this is actually the most people I've ever gotten in like a long time. There are 10 people viewing this interview right now. Holy shit. Damn.
I am happy.
I am also happy. Also, I do want to acknowledge Spario's existence here. I apologize. I've drank at least 3 shots of Jack Daniels mixed with Dr. Pepper.
How we can solve it?
I'm still doing the tutorial, so.
Oh yeah, that's right. Spario here is still doing the tutorial. I think I mentioned that at the beginning.
Yeah. Also, how we can solve Spario? You can have some question if you want, or you can just ask me one question and we can go to the another question.
Well, I don't really have that many questions.
But trust me, I did ask him at the, beforehand. I told him, like, if you have any questions, write them down, because I'm gonna be asking a lot, and this is gonna be like a proper interview. Like, I don't want you to feel left out, man. So I want you to this is a kind of a rare opportunity. So, also, hello, blocker of others. Morning, all.
I thought I had one earlier, but I think you asked it and like read my mind and asked the same question I was gonna ask. So.
All right, fair enough. All right. So that answers my number 9 question. It took a while to get through that, but I expect that. That's a good thing about interviews. When questions kind of barrel into one another, that's signs of a fluid interview, and those tend to go well. All right. Moving on to my 10th. Jesus Christ, I have the order of a, I don't know what kind of animal in the animal kingdom has terrible order, but I'm sure I'll find out later. Alright. So, I earlier today compared this game to EVE Online, and I've kind of been comparing it throughout this interview to EVE Online as well. Besides EVE having a time advantage over Perpetuum, because I believe EVE launched in 2004? Correct me if I'm wrong? Because I don't actually remember.
Something right there, yeah.
Yeah, because I do remember, like...
Something like that.
Yeah, around that time, I do remember the Slasher's model used to look terrible, and now the Slasher just looked... Mwah! The Slasher is a beautiful ship in EVE. That is probably my favorite frigate in the entire game, but disregarding my love for that frigate. What do you think makes EVE more successful than Perpetuum at that time, despite disregarding the time thing? Like, what sets apart EVE from Perpetuum, besides, you know, the obvious setting and time?
Honestly speaking, I don't know. I'm not sure. I would say, you know, to flying in space and to manage that in one server, it's probably easier to do. And also, maybe that was the first MMO like this. So where everyone in the same server, time is the primary factor for development. So probably that was the first, and that's how it works. If you are the first, you won.
Yeah, that's
gain.
Yeah, so basically, no matter how I phrase the question, it always comes back to, you know, which came first. Because, I mean, Minecraft was like one of the first big survival games, and Minecraft has been king for years, and there's been a billion survival games that have come out since. Rust is still big, despite the fact that there are so many games like Rust these days. DayZ is still kind of the king of survival crafting games like that. It really does come down to just like what came first. And unfortunately, because of, you know, how long it took to make Perpetuum, I guess that's one of the things that maybe kneecapped it, unfortunately. Which is a shame, because it's a wonderful alternative. Especially now, considering, I mean, they optimize the assets so there's no lag. You know, it's a tightly knit community right now. And the biggest advantage I think it has over EVE Online right now is the fact that you don't have to pay monthly for Perpetuum. You just pay $5, you get entry to the game, you get access to all this great content. I mean, what's there not to like? It's $5 too.
We have advantage there now, yeah.
I mean, even if you don't like the game, and if you don't, what the hell's wrong with you? Yeah. It's just $5, you know. It's not like you just drop $60 on the brand new, you know, the newest AAA game and it's shit. I know that's kind of how it's been for the last 3 years, but... You know? Alright.
We have an advantage now on this part, and I am really looking forward. We could have more people and more people.
Yeah, no, on that note, I would heavily encourage people to play this game, because it's $5, and if you don't want to spend the $20 a month on EVE, this is, like, actually great. Oh, okay, Ghana actually has a comment here about that. EVE has had the advertising that put into it the radar on a lot of people. Perpetuum had minimal advertising on its first release as a game. As a release, most people heard about it word of mouth, only until it was released on Steam. You know, that actually does make a lot of sense, because it's not the first thing to do that. I specifically have two games called a game called Strike Vector and a second sequel game to it called Strike Vector X. Now, I've personally thought those games were the coolest fucking things ever. They're kind of like it's fighter combat, but your fighter is a VTOL, and the whole combat is based around, at any point in the game, you can basically switch between being a VTOL and a standard fighter, and you duke it out with other people in the game like that. Strike Vector X, they tried to streamline it, and they removed a lot of the loadout customization, which annoyed me, but they also made it easier to control the fighters in game. And neither of those games got any coverage. Nobody plays the first game. Barely anyone, if anyone at all, plays the second game, and it pissed me off so much. And it's not even to do with just like gaming. Specifically, I work at a liquor store. Those of you who follow the channel, you already know that. In my store, we have a specific section of what they call cream liquors. It's basically like imagine it's kind of a hot chocolate, but they put alcohol in it. They're actually really good. There are three we have mainly that are like the big brands. We have one called Bailey's, we have one called Molly's, and we have one called Bradley's. I personally like Bradley's because I think it tastes better. Molly's is the cheapest, but Bailey's is the first one to come out, and they did the most advertising, and much like Jack Daniels, because they got the most advertising out there, they're able to charge $30 for the bottle. Molly's costs $10, Bradley's costs $15. The only reason Bailey's is able to get away with $30 bottles is because they put out the advertising and the name brand stuff, so they're able to actually pull in the money. So it's not just with gaming where that stuff happens. The advertising and the time frames, well, if you don't get those right, they can potentially kneecap a game. But even then, like I said, I like Bradley's, and Bradley's ain't Bailey's, but it tastes better, I think. Just like this, I've played both games, and I honestly think Perpetuum is on par, if not better, than EVE Online, so. My getting past my little rant there. Oh god, this is Jack talking. Why did I think it was a good idea to drink whiskey and do an interview?
Yeah, maybe not the best, but you are doing a great job, I would say, also.
I mean, that might be the Irish part of me. The liver's doing its work. It's earning its pay.
And what I would say is unique in Perpetuum. There is one of the game about similar to Eve, but is on the land, and you can control your robot on the land, like in 2D space or where 3D space, but on land, and that's adding the immersion. In Eve, you just fly in the space, and it's could be a much boring. It's already boring experience because you have to wait. You have to wait and just try to improve yourself if you are not self-driven. What I like also about Perpetuum is this game is about yourself. If you have some goals and you find some goals in also your real life and also in Perpetuum, you will like this game because you can reach some goals and then move on and let's find out another goal.
Yeah, no, that is a clear advantage it has over Eve. I will say, having played both games, neither of them ever came off as boring to me. I will say, in terms of Perpetuum versus EVE Online, but what I always did in EVE is I spec'd out for mining ships. I think the last action I did on my account was I managed to get a mining frigate, although I did buy the wrong one. But let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about my gross incompetency here. That's not what this interview is about. But my main purpose of getting that mining frigate was I wanted to, mine resources. Why did I want to mine resources? Because I wanted to make money. But that's much different than Perpetuum. Why do I want to mine resources in Perpetuum? Because I can use those resources to build my ammunition, build guns, build mechs. I never was able to actually get into like the manufacturing of anything in Eve because it takes so long to get to anywhere in Eve. I had a like even training skills takes longer in Eve because in Eve I think my main goal in Eve was to try and get up to I think it was a heavy cruiser called the Munin. It was a Minmatar heavy cruiser. Oops, sorry, just bumped my mic there. The thing is, the skill queue to get up to that point to be able to actually command that ship was a month long. And that's insane to me. Who the fuck has a month of time that they can just spend playing Eve constantly? I play Perpetuum. If I want to get a skill, I spend a couple of hours mining, killing some Neans, and that's it. That's all I get, and I can rank up. Like, if I wanted to now, like, here's part of it. So if I go to the main game here, because I've had it open and the lovely background music playing in the background. Also, I'd like to point out I accidentally made Jacksepticeye as my as my player thing. I was trying to make myself, but there's not many options for like beards or hair that matched, and I picked what was closest enough and made Jacksepticeye by accident.
I think mine looks decent in terms of like to me, relation to like how I look.
I'd have to see what yours is, but
Let me pull it. Is my stream? If you look at my stream, I might be able to pull it up. But
yeah, I could
I'll
look
do
at your
that
stream.
later.
No, do it
I
now.
don't even know. Okay.
Okay, you're on the Sequor part. Nice. So you're into the like the industry stuff, I believe.
I think I just went to through the fighting stuff, so now I'm on like assignments here.
Yeah.
In the thing. What am I looking for?
Honestly, when you get to the choose faction, but I just realized you have 3 viewers.
I do. Hello, 3 viewers.
It's probably the. It's
3
probably.
people watching me play this game while listening to your stream, technically. If I haven't said much.
Oh,
Also,
that's nice. Sorry,
no.
you also streaming?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Typically, what we do on Fridays is we'll both stream. I'm trying to help him get up to where I am because I'm affiliated at the moment. I'm the one who streams more often. He streams basically every Friday with me, but I want to get him up. I'm trying to help him get up to a point where it's more worth streaming to him.
I see. Yeah.
Because this is my best friend in real life. I know this man is. This man is a national treasure. Yeah, character creation is remnant of original game. Don't think OPP made any changes to character creation, which is fine because if y'all had made any changes to it, I wouldn't have ended up with the glorious clip of well, it didn't get clipped, but the glorious moment where I made my character I finished, and I was looking at him and scratching my chin, thinking, why does this look so familiar? And then the sudden moment of realization where I pointed at the screen and went, Jacksepticeye! You can never beat that kind of comedy.
You're like comedy that happens by chance.
Yeah, I know, it really does. But, anyways, I was talking about skills. I got way sidetracked. Like, for instance, I'm currently trying to, get to the skills to use this locust here. So what you do is, it's robot control. You syndicate robot control, it's 1440 EEP to actually use the thing. If I wanted to use that, I'd go out into the wild, I'd find some iron sweepers or whatnot. I'd nuke them with Gauss, and, I'd get a return from that. I'd get the EEP, whereas in Eve, if I want to use that, I have to wait 6 hours, and I can go fuck myself in the meantime. And that's a real big advantage that Perpetuum has over Eve. There's not as much grind and there's not as much waiting as there is with Eve Online.
I would like to point out this thing came about with Open Perpetuum. So the original Perpetuum was more similar with this type with Eve, because you get daily EP, but you still get here in Open Perpetuum, but you get EP by activity also. either you mine something or harvest something or do missions, you get EP. And that was also always my question for the original devs. Why we couldn't have just both the daily EP, so you get EP also if you are not logged in. So you just get some EP daily, even if you're not playing. But if you play actively, you get more. You could have more EP, and that's I like. But it's still limited. It's you couldn't have just too much because how it works, you get more EP at the starting level, and then it's levels off. After you reach 1 million EP, you only get just really small amount of EP about activities.
Yeah, it's a good thing I'm not close to a million EP. I'm just at like 58,000 now. Blocker Others here says overhaul of EP system was one of the best things OPP team did, and I would have to agree with them. That is a fantastic change. And if, like, that's the one thing that always annoyed me with the EVE Online, that is a fantastic advantage you guys have over it. Any game that lowers the grind to a point where it's less, where it looks impossible, and they bring it down to it being manageable, that is a fantastic design choice. It should never be in any game that you have to spend literal hours of your time to get just like 2% towards your goal. I know, like, this, we don't play games to, relive real life. If you want to, get a job, you go to college, you have to spend 4 years. We're not here for that. And so
Yeah.
that is a great design choice. Perfect. Weirdly enough, that's kind of the criticisms I hear about Warframe, but I've never had that kind of issue. So I hold, like, when it comes to Warframe and Perpetuum with the grind thing, I kind of hold them up at the same point. Like, yeah, there's like a grind, but it's not impossible. It's clearly doable. Like, you spend maybe 45 minutes and you can obtain your goal. There's only very rarely in Warframe that you have to spend a long time, and that's mostly with just like prime parts and whatnot. Man, I haven't played Warframe in a long time, side note, but we're not talking about Warframe here, we're talking about Perpetuum. Speaking of Perpetuum, the big one. So, Gamma, you hinted at it a little bit before in this interview, and I'm interested in what exactly entails in this Gamma update. Do you think you could give us a little more information on what's going to happen with that whole interview? Or,
Well,
excuse me.
it's still heavily under development, but I can say in the original Perpetuum we had already Gamma, so that was also another choice OPP made. We just removed Gamma when we started, so we can reintroduce in a balanced way or a bit more advanced way probably. So we wanted to reach some goals before that, and then we move on the Gamma. If you guys check our blog, there is also a roadmap, probably in this first part of the year, like January, February. You should find a roadmap for this year, and in the roadmap there is one more step before Gamma, but it's not that huge step, and then we fully focus on Gamma. So first we will introduce we will revamp the syndicate robots. They will be producible, and you could make them. Now you couldn't. And some more light robot revamp balance changes, and then we will fully focus on Gamma. And also in the meantime, some strongholds will come into the game, and more T4 plus, more T2 plus models.
Alright, I'm assuming, because you've been talking about the Stronghold stuff, I'm assuming the Stronghold is, what, in the Research tab, that's what this, NPC tab is for?
Sorry, the NPC tab in the research is exactly for the Gamma.
Ah, I see. So that's
So
a
those
in
are
development.
buildings you can build later on,
All right.
and this is just a remnant of the research tree. You could not access this right now.
So this is This is just it's a sneak preview. You can't access this yet. All right, that's pretty cool. I like that. It's like a lot of so a lot of what you're saying is very reminiscent of another game I play. It's a phone game called GFL. It's one of those gotcha games that you'd see coming out of. Well, this one came out of China, but a lot of them tend to come out of Japan. They have a very similar way of doing this, where they'll have like you'll see certain assets added to the game before like the major update comes. Like for instance, now there's like 7 or 8 different items, which I know the system that's come in because another thing that you've done is you've kind of rolled back the updates and you're releasing them, you know, over time, like with Gamma. The same thing happened because this game used to only be restricted to just China. But the game released on in America on the English servers, so what they're doing now is they're steadily releasing each update over time to the English servers so that we don't miss the events, which is good because like half of the characters you can get in the game are all restricted through events. So, gotta bail laters. Thank you, Blocker Others, for stopping by, and thank you for following. I appreciate it, man. And I appreciate everybody for the Perpetuum community for coming in and stopping by and checking out this interview, because I honestly was really excited for this. Like, I spent all day coming up with these questions, to be perfectly frank, because I was looking forward to this, because I'm really interested in like the history behind this game and the technology behind it, the technicalities, all those different things.
And thank you. I'm really impressed actually. I wouldn't think you will prepare some questions. I prepared some facts and something also in the day. But if you just came up with question, that's the perfect choice. But we could continue if you still have some questions.
I've got at least 4 more and 1 joke question that I should probably get rid of. Here, let me get rid of... Okay, there we go. Alright. Technically, there were like a lot more questions, but they were more like follow-up questions. So I probably had at least 20 or 21 different questions, but that's... Yeah, you kind of answer them all with how you went into all the different answers, which is good, because, I mean, this interview's gone on for about an hour, which is... It's a pretty good interview, I'd say. Like, I've learned a lot about Perpetuum and its whole, its development cycle, how you've worked on it, and I appreciate you coming out and giving us all this information on the game. Especially considering, like I like when, developers will come out and actually talk about their games, because I feel like these days, especially, a lot of developers will be really reserved to talk about them, because a lot of them are, they have publishers down their backs, or, I don't remember the expression, but they're basically, watching over them. They can't say much, they can't do much, because if they say the wrong thing, there goes their jobs. They've said something wrong, and the developer or the publisher decides they're no longer fit for the team, quote unquote. And I like it when developers are more open about their games. Breathing down their necks. That's the term, Beats Crusader. Thank you. Also, hello. Right. Okay, so here's more of like an opinion question that I wrote down. If there were any part of Perpetuum that you could just snap your fingers right now and change it immediately, what part would it be, if any?
Well, my primary focus is the new player experience, because we have to improve that. So I would just improve that immediately.
So would that involve the tutorial, or like the beginning game stages where players are sort of like getting resources, learning the technicalities of the game?
Yeah, it could be both, but I'm glad the tutorial is solid. So we would need to... What we really need is to give the players the feel how the actual gameplay works in the more advanced player level. Like I could say, we have three groups of players who regularly plays, and there is others corp, the raw corp, the legacy corp, and they are active, but you don't see them and you don't really contact with them. So kind of a new player is kind of in the open space, and they don't really see any activity. They could say nobody playing, as you probably also guessed, but that's not true because we are in far away from you. So what I would like to improve is somehow introduce the players how Perpetuum is really about and how is the incorporation looks like.
All right. Yeah, I will say, when getting into Perpetuum, the one thing I did see missing from the tutorial was specifically stuff about electronic warfare, because I do now I know that it exists. The copper sweepers and the iron sweepers specifically piss me off from the fact that they can just break my locks on them. And specifically, I actually, I think this morning, no, it was this afternoon, I built towards the ECCMs, the electronic countermeasure. It was electronic.
Yes.
Oh, Rar Metal Milishma has followed. Thank you for joining the IFDF Navy. Welcome aboard, sir, and thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Let me actually go to my equip thing. The Wallix ECCM I bought earlier, and I was working towards getting the skills to actually equip that because I was getting tired of the copper sweepers and iron sweepers breaking my lock. But like they don't teach you about that in the tutorial, as far as I'm aware. It's just you go in, and to somebody who's not as acquainted with the game or knows exactly like what could be happening. Like say it was somebody who was just like day one, they didn't know anything about video games, they just started playing. They wouldn't know why their locks are breaking. If that was explained through the tutorial, I feel like that would help as well. It's honestly, this game is a lot better with teaching its players how to, actually play the game. Because going into it, I realized, okay, so there's resource extraction, there's harvesting, there's artifact hunting, there's doing these quests, there's all this stuff I need to do in order to get somewhere. I immediately went for industry despite the fact that I went for a Nuimqual. And I knew how to do that right out of the gate. In terms of EVE Online, no idea what the hell I was doing. I had no idea about blueprints, I had no idea about mining, nothing. The only reason I knew is because when I first started playing several years ago, I had a friend who gifted, because back in the day what you used to be able to do is paid players could gift other people like free passes. They got like a month of free playtime. So they could get in and they could play, and the only reason I knew is because I had that person squad up with me and tell me what to do. If he didn't tell me what to do, I would have no damn idea what I'm doing. Excuse me. In EVE. So I'm this game goes, above and beyond with the tutorials. It could be a little bit better, especially with some of the more finer points like the corporations and whatnot, but so far it does a lot better of a job than other MMOs like it. So that's a good change, I think. Changing the way, like, tutorials need to be more about teaching not just the basics, it needs to teach, above and beyond, because eventually people are gonna move past the basics. And if you don't teach people now how they're gonna handle stuff, it's like teaching a child. If you don't teach them life skills before they get into life, they can end up screwing up their lives. Same thing with this. If you don't teach a player how to do certain mechanics, they can end up screwing their whole playthrough over, and then they get angry or get bored and they leave. So that's a good thing to change. I like that answer. That's a good answer. Alright. This one probably could have been put in I do know in the Perpetuum Discord there is a suggestion, an OP suggestions features one. And this kind of could have been placed there, but it's more like I thought of this as more of like a technical question. So on my first playthrough, and I think one of my other viewers noticed this. Well, I noticed this personally, but the second part of it, one of my viewers noticed. So when moving around with the robots, I noticed that there's not more like say like the traditional mechanical whir of like feet stomping as my arbalest is moving across the terrain. There's more just like a kind of an energetic whir to it, and it's not just like my arbalest. It's mostly all of them that seem to have this thing. There's not much sound effect to actual movement in the game beyond just an energetic whir. Now I've also noticed that specifically with the mechs they showed off in the tutorial, the Kane and the equivalents from the other two factions, the walk cycles tended to be a little bit out of sync with their movement speed. Specifically the other two factions, not as bad with Nuingqual. Is that something that is able to be updated through the server, or is that something that's tied to the client and you're not able to actually do anything about that? I don't know if you noticed that some of them had a bit of a desync with the movement. I know a lot of older games had a bit of a desync with the movement. I hope you know what I mean when I say desync of movement.
I saw actually your stream when you just described that. So actually, I'm not sure I know the right answer. You may ask Null about it, but as I know, it's probably about the client. So we couldn't change without original developers. And honestly speaking, I didn't realize anything about that. so
Fair enough.
for me, it wasn't really a problem. We have more problematic stuff we have to solve.
That's fair. I've noticed with a lot of older games, like there tend to be like a sort of disconnect between like the animations of your actual character and the speed they're moving at. So I noticed it almost immediately when it popped up. But if it's connected to the client, unless what was the company's name again? I forgot. It was
Creation. If you're searching the original developers.
Yes.
Yeah,
Unless they give you the client, there's not much you can do. Oh, hello, RC. I didn't realize you would show up today. Hello. Oh, shit, RC coming in with the Tier 3 subscription. 6 months long subscriber. Thank you, my guy. I appreciate it. And that's another one into the Beerstein, which has sent everything in the Beerstein flying all over the place. RC Dragon is going to stay subscribed forever. Yeah, that's right. You keep that Navy money coming into here. Alright. Thank you, RC. And welcome. We're actually, RC, just to bring you up to speed, we're interviewing the developer to a game that's being upkept by the community. This is Inda here. We're interviewing him on what exactly has been going on with the game. Hey now, some of that money is dogs. What? Dogs? What do you mean, dogs? Have you been investing in Dogecoin? You know you're not supposed to do that. Without me.
Dogecoins.
Listen, don't make the same mistake they made with Bitcoin. Some guy bought a pizza with 600 Bitcoins, and now that Bitcoin is worth like billions.
Yeah.
That pizza place is rich. They all retired. I guarantee it. I ain't touching no Dogecoin. Listen, to the moon. That's all I'm gonna say. Alright. So then... Okay, so... I just realized number 15 was actually answered. You answered it earlier. It was about the whether or not you asked for the source code, but you answered that already. And you told me negotiate. I guess the term would be negotiations are thought of, but you just can't give any details, so I'll skip that one. Here's a really interesting question, and it is actually the final question I have today, so after this we can actually get into playing the game. So that'll be fun. We can actually, when we can actually play the game. Because I have been using the game as just background music up to this point. But I mean, that's fine. The game, it does have a very nice set of background music. The score is very good on this game. The question is, have you and the people you work with ever considered making your own MMORPG at any point? Or are you just solely dedicated to keeping Perpetuum afloat?
Well, as most of us just getting into game development, we don't have any more experience about it, so for now we don't have any plan on that, and primary focus is really Perpetuum, and we want to continue our roadmap and finish the roadmap, and let's see what brings us, and then we will see what the future will bring.
Alright, so would it affect your decision if at some point the original developers of Perpetuum were to give you basically all the source code, all the material they had for Perpetuum, they just handed it to you and said, you're the devs now, it's your game? Would it change your decision if they just gave you everything? Like if you were somehow able to negotiate with them to get all that stuff?
In what extent you asking that? It's, we could change a bit more, but I'm not sure. We didn't really discuss this because in 3 years we started to develop Open Perpetuum, so and until this point they didn't release the client. We asked them sometimes, so we just didn't move.
You didn't plan
this,
for it.
Yeah.
All right. So it's just a you'll cross that bridge when you get there, sort of thing. All right, fair enough. I mean, I assume as the base original company, they'd probably want to hold on to the IP, because I mean they're still technically earning some money off of it, even if it's just $5 a purchase. I mean they already got the $5 off of Spario here, and the $10 or the $5 off of me back when I bought it. So I actually don't remember how much I bought it for. I don't know if it's always been 10. I think it always
was 10, around 10. Before.
Oh, so they lowered. Okay, so they lowered the price. I see.
Yeah, they were nice. After the shutdown, they lowered the price about half. So
very good. That is also a good decision. $5 off me. Yeah, no, okay, RC, I think you're one of the gentlemen here who also plays MMORPGs. If you liked Eve, you'll definitely like this game, so feel free to join. If I get enough people from my community who actually like to join, I might actually go and make my own corp.
That would be amazing.
Listen, IFDF will rule all the islands, including New Virginia.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to Old Virginia, but that's okay. We'll make New Virginia. Make Virginia great again.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, I played way too much Eve. RC, you'd probably like this game then. And the best part is, it's not going to cost you monthly to play this game. So if you feel like you need to focus on like your stuff in the Navy or whatnot, there's nothing to it. You could play this game, and if you want to take a break, you can, and it's not going to cost you much. And you can come back, and you'll be flush with EP, and probably flush with NIC. Okay, there's a little question. What does NIC stand for? Because I know Observer asked that before.
Yeah, as also I just heard about that. It's just Nyan credit, so without anything else.
So Nyan International Credits then?
No, just Nyan credit.
I see.
So the planet name and the credit, and that's the starting letters there.
I see. Also, Rar Metal Militia says, I am a returning player to Perpetuum, and I am so thankful. I am so thankful to all the players that made this game. That made this possible. This game is the best, and there is no other like it. Perpetuum forever. Honestly, I'd have to agree. Like, the closest that comes to it is EVE Online, but EVE has its problems, especially the $20 a month payment. Whereas this game is $5, you can play it, they're more generous with the grind, and that honestly is a make or break point for me, because if I'm spending 4 hours and I don't make any progress, I'm just gonna say, fuck this. And I haven't said fuck this in Perpetuum yet. I actually feel like I can make some progress. Like, at the moment, it's slow getting the research stuff, but I feel like that's just because I'm on the starter island right now. I haven't moved off. So, I'm guessing
Yeah.
that's the explanation.
Yeah, it's research is about a corporation, so but I could help you on that also. I'm just would like to point out something also.
Right.
We are just the volunteering developers, so we are doing everything in our free time. And if I could talk about our development process,
Go ahead,
is
man.
we have bi-weekly meetings around Saturday, a set time for mainly everyone could participate from Australia to USA throughout Europe. So 20 UTC we meet and we have the session around 2-3 hours. We have the worked out the workflow, and that's how we operate. In the meantime, everyone just doing their stuff. We're doing some testing, we're doing some programming, and we collect some feedback also and try to improve the game. And that's how Open Perpetuum is alive. Also, I wanted to mention we just reached the 20 patch in this year. So 20 patch already in the game after Open Perpetuum release. So I would say that's impressive from a volunteering development team.
Yeah, no, I'd say it's an impressive feat as well. I mean, like I said, there's so many games out there that are like they're fantastic in concept, but they just fall flat and the developer abandons them. I wouldn't say Fractured Space counts simply because that game only fell because well, wargaming, and we all I think
Sad
we all
story, huh?
yeah, I think we all know wargaming's game by this point. Fucker screwed up World of Warships. One of my favorite games, and they messed up the balancing, and then they also took the Fractured... They bought the company that made Fractured Space, if you didn't know, and they, I don't know what happened to the developers, I just assumed they sent them to the World of Tanks mines, and now they're just working on that game. But, they completely shut down Fractured Space. On the bright side, if you have it downloaded, you can actually buy everything in the game for 1 credit. On the downside, you can't play with people now. But that was one of my favorite games, and I do wish there was like a community server, sort of like how what happened with Perpetuum that would, keep that game up. But the closest we have is Dreadnought. Not that Dreadnought is a bad game. Dreadnought is a fantastic game, as is Perpetuum. And I've posted the Steam store link here in my chat. I'm going to post it in my Discord, so anybody here who is interested in buying it. Is that why Fractured Space died? I was wondering why everything went cheap, RC. Yeah, no, that's why it died, RC. Because Wargaming bought the company. Apparently the game was doing bad. I never saw it. The game was doing fine. I was getting my ass kicked in public lobbies. But that makes me angry. RC, direct your anger to buying Perpetuum for $5 on Steam. It's a good deal. And a game that you'll enjoy if you enjoyed EVE Online for $5 flat. You support, and hold on, I'm gonna go above and beyond here. Go into the comms room. I'm gonna copy that thing. I'm gonna paste it, but I already bought it. Well, buy it again. Damn it! Send it to a friend. Buy 30 copies. Send it to your whole family. Lose control of your life. Buy everyone on Earth a copy of Perpetuum. Here's the Patreon, of which you can use to support these fine people and their endeavors in keeping a game afloat, because this is one of the few games that I've seen that has actually gotten support from its community enough to keep it afloat, and that kind of effort deserves reward. So go to their Patreon. Fuck it, I'm gonna go to the Patreon. Here. Google. I have my own Patreon account. Nobody uses my Patreon.
Nobody uses mine either, but that's okay. I mean, I
I don't
don't know why
even-
they would use either of ours yet. I mean,
I don't even
yours would be.
I don't even remember why I made a Patreon. Who the fuck uses my Patreon? I have 200 followers on, like, Twitch. People donate to me if they want to give me money. They don't friggin'... Oy.
Probably had it from when you did like YouTube stuff.
No, I made it when I was, Oh, I remember why I made it. The reason I made it was because, some gentleman had donated to me. They donated money for me to buy Quake 4. And I thought Twitch kept that money until I hit 100. So I made a Patreon so that people wouldn't have to go through Twitch. But, then it didn't matter. The Trust and Safety team unlaunched your page. I thought it was unlaunched, period. Oh well.
That means you did a bad, probably. It's like, hey, you can't have a page with no reason.
Fair enough. Alright. Let me just go ahead and do this. Because y'all are about to get an extra $10 at the oh, I apparently could have paid with PayPal, but it's just too late. I'm already there. There's no turning back now. There you go. Okay, the Open Perpetuum Project has now earned an extra $10 towards their fund. Inda, spend that wisely towards making this game better, because this is a game that deserves, you know, the money for what it's done. So...
Much appreciated. Thank you guys. Thank you.
You're quite welcome, man. Alright, we're gonna move on to the gameplay segment. But before we do that, I'm going to take a quick break. So I'll be right back after these messages. We're gonna play a very quick ad here.
I'm still in the tutorial, so I think I'll just keep my stream open.
Keep your stream going. So I'll be right back in a moment.
Roger.
Thank you so much for watching this interview. I had a lot of fun interviewing Inda, and I learned a lot about Perpetuum and the Open Perpetuum Project and its development and its history. I found it really interesting. And it's really cool to see a game like this get revived by its player base when the original creators shut it down. So, if you would like to support the people at the Open Perpetuum Project, you can go to their Patreon and pledge some money to them. I'm going to leave a link down in the description there. Every cent helps them continue development of the Open Perpetuum Project. There's also going to be a link to Perpetuum itself, should the game sound interesting to you. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. I'm Admiral Y11, signing off.